Hold on. This is leading back to our conversation earlier about how everything is just focused towards China now. And so this is my problem with blockbusters, is that American blockbusters do not care if it's a success in America anymore. I mean, they care, but it's not the priority. And that's why, first of all, that's why you never see comedies anymore, is because comedies do not do well in other languages. Because
they really don't like push out comedies.
No, they don't, because you can't sell a comedy to a foreign country because there's a language barrier,
right?
And things are not, a joke that's funny in English is not going to be funny in French or in China.
And a joke that's funny in like American English is different than British or something. Potentially.
Well, yeah, potentially. And also, like, so much of comedy is cultural.
Yeah.
You know,
timing.
Like someone making a joke about, I don't know, pumpkin spice lattes.
Right.
You know, that's not going to go over well. But a giant transforming robot and a city that's exploding and guns going off and explosions.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
That's universal in any language. You can sell that in any market, and that's why those are the movies that are being pushed out.
What is the what are the future of like the Seth Rogen comedies of the world then?
Streaming.
Right.
Streaming is where it's all going to go. And you know what? I would say it's going to be series. It's not going to be movies anymore. I think that
because that plays that's better for streaming. Like
it's better for streaming, and just the modern audience, when they want to laugh, they don't want to sit down for an hour and a half. They want to sit down. They want to sit down for a half hour. They want half-hour increments, and they want characters that they recognize. I mean, you talk about Seth Rogen; he's playing the same character in every movie. There's a reason for that, because you walk into a Seth Rogen movie, you know that character.
Dude, it's so interesting to hear you say that, and like that's why I like to pick your brain, because you're in the industry. But like, I noticed like myself, like with my viewing habits. Like lately what I've been doing is like I have like one big thing that I'm like working through, and then like I'll break that up by like watching half-hour things.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'll start a documentary. My Netflix queue will be like I'll have an hour and a half documentary going.
Oh, I've noticed this. Yeah. Because you were watching the Conor McGregor documentary.
Yeah, and that was a great one. Like I was just watching like
I have not seen the Conor McGregor one. I don't know.
Well, my point is like it's just like it's something watching 20 minutes of that is like awesome.
Oh, okay.
You know? Like, do I want to sit there and watch like Conor McGregor be Conor McGregor for an hour and a half? Not really. But like for 20 minutes at a clip while you have a cup of coffee, it's like it's pretty cool. But anyway, it's interesting. Another question I had, do you know anything about like the business of comic books? Like, to me, this is interesting. Like, what's the distribution process behind this? Is it similar to like a book, or is it more similar to like a movie? Like, I don't know if you know
the distribution process.
Well, just like what are the economics of like comic books? You know, I know.
I don't know. Besides DC and Marvel, Image is probably the third biggest.
This is Image?
I would say this is Image. Image also does. You've obviously heard of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Image does The Walking Dead also. Image, it's all about like their original characters and a story that is intended on one day ending. You know, like they're going to have a complete arc, kind of like a TV show. So they're not going to do like a Wonder Woman or an X-Men that you can have 1,000 like, and it will go on forever.
What's the audience for this? How big is the audience for something like this?
For something like this?
Yeah.
Pretty big. A lot of people are into comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. For something like this, it would go a bit older. I'd say it's like
in the United States?
In the United States, yeah. Probably 18 to like 34, maybe.
No, sure, but I mean, as far as like volume, like how many?
I don't know. I don't know volume.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know.
But something like Saga, you could like any comic book store is going to have Saga.
Yeah.
In it. Right. Like
this is like pretty mainstream as far as it comes to like comics.
Not as like not mainstream. Mm-hmm. Like there are so many comic collectors who are like, I'll either do DC or Marvel and that's it, and they don't want to do anything else.
Yeah. That seems kind of lame.
There are also people who are like hardcore, either one way or the other. Like they'll only do DC or they'll only do Marvel.
Right. You're into like whatever.
I'm into whatever. There was a time when I first got into it, I really only stuck to DC and Marvel because they were characters that I kind of recognized, which I should say that for people who never really read comics or, you want to get into it, but you haven't really yet. Saga is not the one to start with.
Right.
Find a character like, for me, it was Batman, of just like, everything about this guy and you can just jump right into it. Mm-hmm. Like you could pick up the newest Batman right now and know what's going on.
So there's still, this is like a real dumb question, I'm sure, but they're still producing like new Batman comic books?
Multiple. He has multiple different ones coming out, so they probably do like 4 a month, and it's all different storylines.
And you could just pick one up, and it doesn't like matter. Like, oh, you missed like this last season. Like,
no, it's usually they'll go like in arcs. Mm-hmm. So comics, there's either issues or like trades. Mm-hmm. So like these that I have on the table, these like bigger ones, these are all called trades. That's basically, if in this one there's like probably 6 issues. So if you're going one and you're just picking up like a monthly issue, a small one, it's one piece of a story arc. But if you go in and you pick one like this, then it's one complete story arc. And sometimes it will be like, a story arc will take over like 2 trades, but like it will be numbered. Image Comics, though, you got to start from the beginning because it's a continuous story. It's not going to be a character that you recognize or that like there's been 1,000 things about. I started with Batman, and I kind of, for the beginning of like when I really got into comics, I stuck with either DC or Marvel, just like someone who I knew. Recently, I've kind of gotten back into it. There was a time when I was like only reading kind of more independent ones because just like if you've watched this podcast, I'm not like a fan of big corporations, and I always like to give the little guy my money. Image is a pretty big company, but like if I'd go to Comic-Con, like I have a rule of like I won't buy anything from DC or Marvel at Comic-Con.
That's cool.
I'll find something that like I
buy a lot of shit
read.
at Comic-Con.
Yeah, I'll spend like $200 on comic books.
You go every year, right?
This year it didn't happen, but yeah, I go every year. Yeah. Cool. It's a lot of fun, honestly. Like even if you're not into comics, like just go and like drink and have a good time. I'm one of the few people, like a lot of people like judge me for this. I'm like one of the people that I like to drink and go to Comic-Con. There are a lot of people that will like look at you like you're an asshole, but I think it's fun.
Fuck them.
Yeah. I mean like we're going to an event. We're doing nerd shit. Like you don't want me to be drunk for this? Like fucking come on.
No, yeah. Nerds are gonna nerd.